Fred B. Craves, a San Francisco billionaire who's recently, in the last few years, created another shell company to expand from biomedical technologies into real estate speculation. And since 2016, has been actively working to gentrify working class neighborhoods in Oakland. And we're here today as Oakland, San Francisco residents, housed and unhoused people coming together in opposition to the really rabid gathering of profits, the seeking of money, real estate speculation that is the main cause behind the massive gentrification that's gripping this whole Bay Area in this country. Currently, Fred B. Craves is working to develop property in Oakland and has literally displaced dozens of people in the last year alone in order to build a new biomedical research facility in West Oakland, all to make tens of millions of dollars. And we have the people there who live there, in some cases as much as 8 years, with absolutely nothing. And we're here at the front doorstep of this man's office to tell him, fuck that. So, there's been a lot of misconceptions about a lot of the stuff that's being done over in West Oakland. You know, one of the things that Fred Craves has been doing is working with the city government of Oakland to develop this property in the interim, before it becomes a science lab, into a safe RV parking lot. The safe RV parking lot is a program actually spearheaded by the government of San Francisco as a way to warehouse, particularly the navigation centers and the so-called safe parking lots for RVs. These are just extensions of the already shitty shelter system. Basically, they don't want to do anything, they don't want to invest the money to actually get people off the street, but they will invest just enough to warehouse them and keep them out of sight and out of mind in order to develop real estate and keep the wealthy of this area of this country happy. Well, there are nearly 10,000 people sleep and die on the streets every night and year. And so we're out here to really demonstrate that we can't allow this stuff to just go on. We can't allow these corporations, we can't allow these business owners, we can't allow these so-called entrepreneurs to make money literally off the backs of the people. This man is literally trying to develop real estate and property in such a way that it's going to hurt people, that it's been killing people. And so the property he's bought is in the center of the West Oakland Wood Street homeless community. It's an amalgamation of literally dozens of homeless encampments. It's the largest encampment of homeless people, probably in the entire Bay Area. And Fred Craves bought a piece of lot right in the middle of it, and then trying to flip it. And so this process is actually going to be the first in many steps to fully gentrify this section of West Oakland. Because once the science lab is built, and the coffee shops are built, and the office space is put in, the new parking lot is built, a lift administrative building was built, just a couple of years ago. And as this process happens, it pushes the cost of living up in these areas. And not just pushes people on the street, who are living in working class housing on the street, but even pushes people living on the street even further out of the areas they once used to rent. And so the United Front Against Displacement has been actively working to combat the real estate development that's been going on in West Oakland. Mainly more so because we think it's important that we have to actually center the interests of working class people. And the main issue is that Fred Craves wants to develop this property and leave the people with nothing. And not only that, where people don't want to comply with his plan, he'll send his goons, his contractors and subcontractors to harass and brutalize the people, threatening them at all hours of the day. He once paid a 17-year-old homeless kid $40 to move their RV off of his land. $40. This is a man worth at least $1.6 billion. He doesn't even have the audacity to actually pay people what it's actually worth to him. And so we're out here opposing this development, not just because we oppose building things in and of itself, but because the reality is it's part of a process of gentrification. It's going to intensify. In an area where people are already strapped, this was already going on before the pandemic. Now it's only actually heightened the contradiction between working class tenants trying to stay in this area, stay in the areas that they've lived in for a long time, and these corporations that have made a killing, particularly with technology firms, have made a killing over the last 7 months as the economy screeched to almost a halt. When you look at the actual stock market, the top 5 largest companies, fastest growing companies, are all tech firms. And so is it out of the ordinary that some biotech magnate is like the latest agent actually working to fuck with the working class community of the Bay Area? No. It's perfectly in line with like the previous development we've seen in this rotten, decadent capitalist system. And so we've been fighting this in some cases over 2 years. And so today, we were successful in that we were able to actually push these people to actually settle with the remaining residents on this lot. Because they were going to push them off under threat of arrest, under threat of violence, or if nothing. And we actually got them to agree to an actual settlement so they could peacefully relocate off the lot. But the battle's not over, because as they develop this lot, they're going to need to dig under the sidewalk, where literally dozens of homeless people have been having to take shelter in. They're going to displace dozens of homeless people in the coming months. As development goes up, all the homeless encampments surrounding this new lot aren't going to be allowed to be there. This isn't a community where anywhere from 100 to 300 people sleep out on a given night. And so the development of this biomedical magnate, of this Fred B. Craves and his shell company, Game Changer LLC, which does its taxes in Delaware, what they're doing is part of an ongoing campaign against working people in this city, in this area. And so really out here, because we have to actually build this resistance against what's going on. Because if we don't, there's going to be literally thousands more people coming out in the streets in coming months. 1 out of every 5 renters' households is vulnerable to eviction by the end of this year. That rent under the pandemic is worth $21.5 billion. And while all this bullshit's going on, these assholes behind us are trying to make a killing. And we're having to say, fuck that. So I'm going to say proud. All proud of the people, my friends. All proud of the people. I asked you for how many billions did you actually make today? All right. So we're going to get started chanting again, and we're going to hopefully have a few more folks speaking on this issue. But thank you all for coming out. Some of us have been working on some dictionary things for well over a month in this current chapter. It's long and hard, but a bunch of broke-ass young people been able to get in the way of San Francisco billionaire for God knows 2 years of revenge his margins. I think that's actually a pretty good accomplishment. Yeah? Hey! See, people like billionaires too. That's pretty popular in this day and age.